Did you do that?
Well, you know how it is, mate. You've got to be firm with women and wogs.
Anything broken?
It's just bruises.
Don't worry, the police are on their way.
Oh, the police! Ha! Good old Leela's been at it again, eh?
I called the police.
Well, whatever for?
You're getting a bit too free with your fists for my liking.
Oh, now, that's not the old Jimmy I always knew. Not my old army, mate. I can remember times when you'd wade in when the odds were 10 to 1 against.
Yeah, you might recall I've never hit a woman.
Well, that's because of that sour bitch of a wife of yours. She's really got you knackered, mate. Now, look, why don't you come over to Africa with me? That's where the really big bickies are. And I tell you what, I can make you an offer you can't refuse.
Since when are you making offers?
Since always, mate. I've got together a group of the roughest, toughest guys you've ever heard of. They'd even scare the Genghis Khan. And if you want to be 2IC, you've got it.
Wait a minute, you've been recruiting all this time?
You didn't tumble to it, eh? Insurance. You got to admit it's not a bad cover, though.
You're crazy. Recruiting's illegal.
So what are you going to do? Slap my hand?
I don't have to. The police will do that. Come on, Meg.
Now, just where do you think you're going?
Out. Meg?
Sorry, fella. No way. Let's see if you've lost your touch.
Put it down, Jeff.
No way, mate. You're going to have to take it from me. Come on, have a go. You were top dog in your division and all that? Or have you gone soft working with a bunch of women? Maybe you need a refresher.
I could take it if I wanted to, you know, Jeff. Like you said, top dog. You're slipping, Jeff. You left yourself wide open.
Inside. You should feel quite at home in here by now, Coulson. Most women learn their lesson after they've been in here once. But a few of you, it takes a little longer, that's all. And after this last little escapade, I'd say the VJ will give you at least 2 weeks. You know what's funny about this cell? You'd think it'd make you want to escape even more. But it doesn't. Not after you've been in it a few weeks. Some people say that it breaks a person's spirit. I'd say that it reminds them exactly who they are.
I didn't think anyone would get hurt.
You were responsible for getting the governor shot, whichever way you look at it. But that wouldn't mean a thing to you, would it? You're already inside for murder.
No one was meant to get hurt.
That's what they all say. Think about it. You'll have plenty of time.
Latham wants a word with you.
I was supposed to be off duty an hour ago. Can't it wait?
She said it was important.
This had better be good, Latham.
Roz knows I dobbed her into the cops, didn't she? God, it was me that told her how to get out of Melbourne. I copped the look she gave me.
By the time she gets out of solitary, she won't be causing trouble for anyone, not even you.
I don't want the others finding out.
They're hardly likely to touch someone in your condition.
Oh, they got other ways of getting at you.
Then you'll just have to stay out of their way.
But I can't. I mean, Oh, look, Miss Bennett, I'm going crazy cooped up in that maternity block, and I want to earn some money. Well, the laundry pays most, and I was wondering, well, maybe you could get me in there.
You don't get favours in here unless you earn them, Latham.
It wouldn't have nabbed Ross if it hadn't have been for me.
It would be worth having you in the laundry after all. Be rather handy having inside information. But why should I trust you?
Because I've got a kid inside me, and I want to give it a better go than I ever got.
All right, Latham. I'll see what I can do.
And I want to be rusted to the kitchen, too, in between times.
Are you sure there's nothing else you want?
Well, I can't bloody well expect
Don't you talk to me like that.
I can't expect my kid to grow up healthy on the muck you feed us in here. I want to get some fresh fruit before it gets rotten.
Quite the concerned mother-to-be, aren't you? Well, just as long as we understand each other.
And you had no idea about this recruiting business?
No, he said he was in insurance. My wife and I put him up for a few days.
And yet he'd talked to you about mercenaries?
Well, we were both in the army together. It was common ground.
You left out the bit about where I saved your stinking hide in Vietnam. Why didn't you tell him about that, eh?
Any more out of you, sonny boy, and you can sweat it out in the car.
Oh, no way, mate. I want to be here for every second of this.
You say you'd warned Mrs. Jackson that Butler was violent.
Yeah, this afternoon.
And yet you'd reported it to the police much earlier. I mean, in relation to that bashing in the bar.
Well, we'd had an emergency at the prison. Besides, he was an old friend. I had no idea that he'd hurt Mrs. Jackson.
Yes. Well, thanks for your help, Mrs. Jackson.
I'd appreciate it if you could keep Mrs. Jackson and my names out of the papers.
We'll do our best, Mr. Fletcher. Get him out of here.
I should have left you there to rot, you bastard.
Better get you a doctor.
I don't want one.
Let's have a look then. Meg, I don't know what to say. I suppose it's a bit late to say that I'm sorry.
You almost killed him. You're no better than he is, do you know that? Now just get out. Just get out and leave me alone.
Fourth word. Blow.
Wind.
You got it, Bee.
She ought to know. She's a bag of it.
Let's see. A film, 4 words, gone, something, something, wind.
With the wind.
That's it. God, I nearly did myself a damage then. Do you want to play, love?
I don't want to make a fool of myself.
Bit late for that. Why don't you back to the nursery where you belong?
I figured you might like to hear a bit of news. You're getting out of touch, Bee, now you're playing kids' games.
Well, I won't be playing games with you, sweetie.
Roz has been brought back in.
Oh,
They got her already. Rotten mongrels.
silly little idiot. I knew she wouldn't get far.
You think you know it all, don't you?
Oh, I know I'm sick to death of seeing your ugly
You
face.
better get used to it. I'm working in the laundry and the kitchen from now
You've
on.
never done a day's work in your life.
Well, I'm about to start, and I
What are you trying to pull?
want to get out of this hole and away from you as soon as I can.
Oh, I see. Good behaviour. Remission. Stuff like that. Well, let's see. I figure the tops they can give you off would be a third. That leaves you with 3.5 years. You think you can behave yourself that long?
I've already done a year.
Yeah, well, Frankie tried to keep her nose clean too. But it didn't last. Some people just can't seem to keep out of trouble.
You can drop these things into the station in the morning.
It's a wonder you don't want me to do it now.
I just want this man's things out of the house.
Very good at laying the blame on me, aren't you?
Well, who do you think it is, Megs?
All I'm saying is if you left things to me, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
If I'd left things to you, it could have been worse.
I warned Meg.
It was a bit late, wasn't it? I told you about Jeff, but you wouldn't listen to me. Oh, no, the great Jim Fletcher knows it all.
Well, you can't blame me for not listening, can you? Have to put up with you nagging me 24 hours a day.
Nagging you? I was only trying to talk to you, for heaven's sake. But I forgot, a woman doesn't have anything to say. So you turn to your mates. And no one can say a thing against your mates.
You've never liked any of my friends. You think you're better than they are.
Friends? Killers, you mean? Daddy knew what Jeff was like in Puckapunyal. If he didn't have a war to fight, he'd explode.
You had to bring Daddy into this, didn't you?
Well, at least he isn't as one-sided about his army mates as you are.
He was a pompous old fool who spoiled his daughter rotten. He wanted you to marry a general, not a sergeant.
Didn't stop him giving us a start. We would have been scratching if he hadn't given us this house.
Thank you, Colonel Chambers.
Who is it?
Vera.
Oh, I was just going to bed, Vera.
Oh, I've been trying to ring you. I was going to ask you over, but I came here just in case you were home. I bought a bottle of wine.
Oh, thank you.
Did you know that your phone was out of order?
Yes, I'm going to get it fixed tomorrow.
I didn't really expect to find you home. I thought you could have been out with your friend.
Friend?
Well, the other day I got the impression you'd met someone. I just assumed that
I'm not seeing him anymore.
Oh. Well, if you ever need someone to talk to...
I just want to forget it, Vera.
It gets more difficult when you get to our age. Finding the right man, I mean. They just don't seem to be around. I suppose we've become too choosy. And if you've been married before, well, I guess you're always comparing them to Bill. And if you do find someone you like, well, there's always something wrong. They're either married or too set in their ways. What's funny? Meg? What's wrong? Did he do that?
He hurt me, Vera. He really hurt me.
What the hell can I do about it? Besides, if it's the only thing that's going to straighten her out, then I'm all for it.
Straighten you out?
I've been trying to help her ever since she came in here. If she wants to turn to some nutcase in a terrorist group, then I give up. Oh, flamin' hell, we're out of coffee.
Oh, not to worry. Oh, that stuff rot she gives it anyway. I've got some biscuits left.
Well, at least we won't starve.
Oh, they were there.
Yeah, Pat, have you noticed ever since a dirty, rotten, stinking little thief joined us, we keep running out of things?
I never touched nothing. Every time something gets pinched, the finger gets pointed at me.
Hey, there's a very good reason for that.
What?
We know you're guilty. And so, when the next buy-up comes around, you are going to have to pay back everything you've pinched. But seeing as that's 4 days away, you are going to have to come up with something else in the meanwhile.
Fair go, B.
You made your bed, you lie in it.
Oh, if only I could get into that kitchen for 2 minutes.
Oh, you need inside help for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, inside help. Chrissy!
Oh, come off it, Bea. You're not even giving her a fair go. She's trying to turn over a new leaf.
Oh, I'll believe that when I see it. And since when did she ever give anyone a fair go anyway?
Well, a baby can change people.
Ah, not the likes of her.
Well, you can leave me out of it.
Oh, come on, Pat. We're not going to get her into any strife.
Well, my appeal's due soon. I'm not going to let anyone ruin it for me.
OK, Lizzie, what do you want to order from the kitchen?
You reckon Chrissy'll help us, B?
Of course. Just takes a little friendly persuasion.
Morning.
Greg,
Morning, Vera.
Greg, I've really got to talk to you. It's about Meg. She didn't want me to say anything, but I think she needs a doctor.
What's wrong with her?
She's been beaten up. She says she's all right, but I saw her face.
Been beaten up? How? Vera?
You knew she was seeing that friend of Jim Fletcher's?
Well, I didn't know who.
Well, he went berserk for no reason, apparently. Jim knew about the violent streak, but didn't tell Meg until it was too late. And on top of everything else, he's been arrested for recruiting mercenaries. I don't know how a man like Jim Fletcher could let Meg walk into something like that. He introduced the two of them.
Good morning, Chrissy.
How you going, Chrissy, love?
G'day.
What do you want? I can't get all that.
You'll think of something.
Will you do it?
Okay.
All right, you heard the bell. Now get moving. Hurry up, Latham. You were meant to be in the kitchen ages ago.
I got something might interest you, Miss Bennett.
She didn't give us any hassles at all.
What do you expect with the three of you standing over?
Just hurry up, get your breakfast and sit down.
Oh, wow, I was in a fun mood this morning. What's the matter, Fletch? Did you have to sleep on the couch last night?
If you don't shut your filthy mouth, Smith, I'll see you get no breakfast at all.
I'd watch that temper of yours if I were you, Mr. Fletcher.
What?
Well, if you can't control it, you shouldn't be working in a prison, especially a women's prison. It can lead to violence, don't you agree?
Weasel! Don't play the innocent with me, Birdbrain. I caught you red-handed.
Sit down, Smith. Now, what's going on
This
here?
garbage guts can't give her thieving claws to herself. I don't know what she's talking about, Miss Bennett.
You eat like a pig bird.
I hope you choke.
You're lucky you didn't break your jaw.
I told Vera not to say anything.
Well, I'm glad she did.
Look, I just want to forget it, Greg.
How could you get involved with him, Meg?
How was I to know what he was like?
We must have had some idea. A person doesn't just change overnight.
He was a friend of Jim's. We got on well.
What about the Fletchers? Surely they must have seen the signs.
Well, Leela mentioned he used to get into brawls.
Oh, and you didn't listen to her.
Jim said she was exaggerating because she didn't like him. Well, how was I to know? All I could go on was how he treated me, and that was very well. I liked him.
Maybe because you wanted to.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, you've had a rough trot, that's all, and I haven't exactly helped.
All right. Maybe I didn't want to listen to the truth. Maybe I did want a man I could believe in, and maybe lots of things.
In my opinion, it tells you exactly what sort of a man Jim Fletcher really is. With his attitude towards the women. I mean, you should have heard him abusing them this morning. I'd say he's almost lost control.
All I heard, Miss Bennett, was your voice. I noticed that Latham was working in the dining room. Why?
She's been behaving, and she was responsible for Coulson getting caught. My report's on your desk.
I would like to speak to Coulson alone.
But she's dangerous.
You can leave your keys with me, Miss Bennett. You should eat something. Not hungry? It's not very pleasant, is it? I've spoken to the authorities. They said you are unable to help them regarding the terrorists. Is that true?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson. It wasn't meant to have happened the way it did. Janet said it'd be easy. No one expected you. That policeman. I believed her. I believed what she stood for.
Did you believe in the way she went about it? No. The word terrorist means a person who coerces by intimidation and violence. But I'm sure you know that.
Wasn't like I'd imagined.
Having ideals is one thing, but seeing how some people put them into effect is quite another matter altogether, Rosalind.
I know.
I am willing to help you, if you will let me. It's up to you.
Come on, hurry it up.
O'Connell.
Yes?
Your solicitor's here.
Just a minute, Smith. Latham should be doing that.
Oh, fair go, Miss Bennett. You can't expect a pregnant woman to carry a heavy thing like this.
Turn it over.
Eh?
You heard me, Birdsworth. Tip it out.
How the...
I'll handle this, thank you, Mr. Fletcher. I'm amazed you weren't onto them. You're getting careless, Smith. That little diversion with Birdsworth didn't fool me for 1 minute. You can all forget the buy-up this week. And I'm holding you responsible for this, Latham.
Oh, fair go, Miss Bennett. I'm not the only one who works in the kitchen, you know.
Now get back to work. And think yourselves lucky that I didn't take away all your privileges.
Oh, but we did.
Get moving. After you've got those things back to the kitchen, you can clean up that mess.
Why pick on me?
Would you like to give her a hand, Smith?
You're getting real sharp, aren't you, Vera?
Just used to your tricks.
Yeah, how come I have to do all the dirty work?
You wouldn't want them getting suspicious, would you? And don't take too much of the fruit.
Bitch.
She's shown how dangerous she can be. If you let her out of solitary now, well, how do you expect the officers to keep control?
As far as I am concerned, she has learnt her lesson. I want her to have every chance at rehabilitation.
She was involved in a very serious incident, Mrs. Davidson.
And what if she tells the others that Latham turned her in? There'll be trouble.
She has given me her word.
But because she saved your life, are you going to believe everything that she says?
My decision is final, Miss Bennett. Before you go, Mr. Fletcher, I would like a word with you. I heard about Meg Jackson.
I wasn't aware that incidents outside this prison were of your concern, Mrs. Davidson.
I was about to say that I have just spoken to her and that she will be returning to work tomorrow. I thought you would like to know. Miss Bennett tells me that you were in the dining room when some of the women were trying to smuggle out food from the kitchen.
I hardly gave them my permission.
I realize that at times it is difficult for you not to bring personal problems to work. However, if my staff is expected to do their job properly, they need to be more alert.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
How come she gets a cushy job like that? She can't even thread a needle.
Yeah, I noticed.
I suppose it's one job that'll keep her off her feet, I reckon.
Well, what do you know?
Ross.
Hello, Lizzie. Hey.
Well, they would have thrown away the key.
Oh, it's good to see you back.
Yeah, now I can stop wearing it, actually.
How did they catch up with you?
Just lucky, I guess.
David's preliminary hearing's the day after tomorrow. Angela says I've got to be there.
Well, at least you get to see him, love, even though... Well, look, he did shoot Karen. He's not going to get off.
I know. Well, if Herbie testifies against David, it's going to affect my appeal.
How come?
Herbie's going to tell him I saw Davy just after he escaped. I'll be had up for consorting, aiding and abetting, you name it. My appeal won't even go through.
Can he prove it?
It was Herbie took me to see David.
Oh.
Well, I only went to tell him to give himself up. But who's going to believe that?
I thought this bloke, what's his name, was a friend of your son's.
He was. But he's giving evidence for the other side, so he'll get off likely.
But he's in it up to his neck.
If my appeal doesn't go through, my kids are going to be stuck in that home for good, Bea.
Oh, there must be some way of getting to this Herbie creep. There's one thing in this world I can't stand. It's a lagger.
You've had quite a field day with that vicious tongue of yours, haven't you?
Sometimes it's a woman's only defence.
Well, you'd be pleased to know that it's worked. The staff have been giving me the cold shoulder all day today.
They can make up their own minds.
Do you always distort things to get what you want?
You're in my way.
In more ways than one, eh, Vera?
I'm sure a man like you can take care of himself.
Look, what is it with you? Do you hate all men, or is it just me? I know you resented me taking over as deputy governor, but maybe it goes a bit deeper than that. Maybe it's because I kissed you once, and you think that that binds me to you for life.
How dare you?
Oh, yeah, like most women. You can dish it out, but you can't take it, eh? I haven't finished yet.
I think you have. You're quite a one for throwing your weight around, aren't you? Or do you leave it up to your friends to do the really rough stuff?
Now, listen, don't you start on me.
I think maybe it's time I did.
That woman's out to get me. You know it, I know it.
I wasn't just talking about Vera.
Well, as far as I know, Meg would rather forget the whole incident. So would I.
You knew what she was getting herself into. You did nothing.
I was as much in the dark about Jeff as she was. But I tell you one thing. I give a mature woman enough credit to be able to look after herself. Now, if you want to put her up on a pedestal, that's your business.
A word of advice. If I ever see or hear of you treating any woman on this staff as a third-rate citizen again, make sure you answer to me.
So if you lag on me about seeing David, I'll tell the truth about you hiding him the whole time he was on the run.
Otherwise, I'll break both your legs.
Dry up, Lizzie.
You gotta be real tough on these rotten laggers.
What if somebody sees it? It's admitting you're guilty.
Hey, what about Angela? She's passed messages on before today.
Oh, I couldn't do that. If anyone found out, she could lose her job.
Here, maybe Rosalind could just ask the governor to deliver it.
Yeah. And seeing they're such good mates, she could perhaps ask her for the key and just walk straight out of here.
There'd be nowhere to go anyway.
Ah, bully for you. It's taken you 2 escapes to work that one out.
There. It's finished.
Okay. Who's got a visitor tomorrow? Oh, now, come on. Someone must have. Friend, family, someone who doesn't think you're a no-hoper.
Cat, you said you was getting a visitor, didn't you?
No way, Bea. I got into enough strife helping Roz. I don't want to know about it.
Now, who kept their mouth shut when I was trying to find out what Rosalind was up to? So who owes me a favour before she gets clobbered?
Oh, okay.
You make sure your friend delivers that as soon as they leave. There you are, love. All your woes will be over, as of tomorrow.
Oh, morning, Wendy.
Hello, Mrs. Jackson. How are you feeling?
Fine, thanks.
It must have been awful for you. I wouldn't have thought Mr. Fletcher would have friends like that.
Hello, Meg. How are you?
Did you have to tell the whole world?
Well, everyone was asking where you were yesterday.
And no doubt you told them the whole sordid story.
Oh, Miss Bennett, this was sent down from the maternity wing for you.
How long have you had this?
Oh, about 2 hours. It didn't seem important.
Has Leach's visitor arrived yet?
5 minutes ago.
Just a minute. Lift your arms.
What?
Do as you're told.
Some new rule?
You can't be trusted, Leach. There'll be spot checks on you and anyone else who likes to cause trouble. Now, turn around. Empty your pockets.
What did you expect to find, Miss Bennett?
Good morning.
Morning. Listen, Meg, the next time you want to tell people what you think of me, I'd rather like to be there just so I can give my side of the story.
Look, I've got better things to do with my time than talk about you, especially behind your back.
Oh, well, then I must have imagined being abused by Greg and Vera.
I am not in the habit of broadcasting my private life, if that's what you mean. All I want to do is forget I ever had anything to do with your friend, if that's at all possible. Did you have to have a go at Jim?
Well, I just wanted to put him straight on a few points.
It's got nothing to do with you.
It has everything to do with me.
How? Look, I'm not part of your life anymore, Greg. All I want to do is survive on my own without having you to complicate matters.
How'd it go?
Just like you reckoned it would.
There you are. What did I tell you?
Give us a hand with these, will you, love?
What?
This has got to go to maternity.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what happened?
Oh, Vera searched me.
That lousy little... What about the letter?
It's in a real safe place.
Well, it just goes to show you what a little mongrel she really is. Pat's been the only one to stand up for her, and she turns around and does that.
Well, Vera said it was a spot check, so maybe Chrissy didn't lag. She would have. She told the cops where to find me.
Oh, well now, is that right?
Oh, we'll never get at it with old Bennett watching out for her.
And she's bound to tell her Kath didn't have the letter. She'll be on to us.
Oh, we'll find a way around that one. Now, what we have to do is find a way to kill two birds with one stone.
Sure you wouldn't rather be working in the nursery?
Well, the laundry pays better.
I suppose mothers will do anything for their kids, even mothers-to-be. You really want this baby, don't you?
Too right. They'll still take it away from me, though, when it's one. Even after remissions, it'll be two by the time I get out of here, stuck in some crummy home.
Like my two. At least yours will be too young to understand. Mine will know.
Yeah, but you got your appeal coming up.
It doesn't need two of you to do that. Get going, O'Connell. Latham, I've got a little job for you.
Why is it always me?
If you want to work, you'll work. You know better than to try anything smart with me.
What you on about?
Leach didn't have that letter.
But she reckoned it went okay. Here, they're on to me.
Oh, rubbish. I gave a good enough reason why I searched her.
Well, then why did they change their minds? You've got to do something.
I'm not going to do anything, Latham. You're going to find out what they're up to.
You got no other choice, Pat. You're going to have to give it to Angela.
I suppose she doesn't have to know what's in it.
No, she should give it to him, that's all.
She's coming.
Ah, not so hard.
Not good.
I've got cold feet, that's all.
Well, next time I ask you to do something, maybe you'll do it, okay?
Oh, okay, let me go. Oh.
She didn't pass on my letter.
Well, if I had, Vera would have caught me, so think yourself lucky.
Yeah, well, that puts us back to square bloody one.
I've got an idea. Jenny gets a visitor tomorrow.
Well, we can't use the same stunt twice. Vera's probably checking everyone.
Oh, I know, but I've been thinking. All we have to do is get Jenny's friend to wait outside the fence at a certain place, at a certain time. We throw the letter over to her.
Hey, that might work at that. You're not just a pretty face, are you, Ros?
Mrs. Davidson wants to see you, Rosalind.
Oh, Mrs. Jackson, you got a beauty there.
Yeah, what'd you do, walk into a door, Mrs. J?
Oh, come on, Mrs. Jackson. We've all done wrong things in our time. You can tell us.
Just get on with your work, please, Lizzie.
Mrs. Jackson, I feel a bit crook. Can I see the doc?
Come with me.
And I bet she just happens to run into vinegar on the way.
Poor little thing. Who, Chrissy? No, Mrs. Jackson. What rotten mongrel would want to bash her up?
Oh, who cares? She's only a screw anyway. You've got far more important problems to worry about.
Problems?
Our larder's bare. So you had better start thinking.
Oh, come on.
I think it's time you thought about what you're going to do whilst you're in here. I see no reason why you shouldn't continue with your studies. And eventually, if you prove you can be trusted, perhaps you can attend external classes, as Karen Travers did.
That'd be great.
A new social worker will be joining us in a day or so. I'm sure if you speak to him, he will be able to advise you about classes.
Thank you, Mrs. Davidson.
I hope you won't let me down.
I won't, I promise.
Come in.
Pat O'Connell wants permission to ring her solicitor, Mrs. Davidson.
All right. Could you see to it, Mr. Fletcher? Oh, before you go, I'd like you to arrange for Rosalind to be moved out of Kathleen Leach's dormitory and into a single room.
That may be a little bit difficult, Mrs. Davidson.
Really?
Could I speak to you alone for a minute, Mrs. Davidson, please?
That will be all, Rosalind.
Why should she be given a single cell?
I want her to have the chance to study.
But she can't be trusted.
I think she can.
Right, well, I'll only take it in so you can take it out nice and easy.
The timing of this is going to be just right. And the minute Pat goes to see Angela...
B! Oh, Bennett and Mrs. Barry nearly caught me checking out the kitchen. Oh, God, it was enough to give me a heart attack on the spot.
But they didn't see you. What are you so worried about?
Oh, it was what they was talking about. Do you want to know who bashed up Mrs. Jackson?
Yeah?
It was a mate of Fletcher's, and by the way Vera was talking, he might have bashed her up himself. She reckons that Fletcher even threatened her.
What a pity they didn't kill each other.
Oh, to think he's still walking around. It's enough to scare the wits out of you. Yeah.
What did the doc have to say? You feeling pretty fit?
Yeah, no worries.
Good, because you're coming for a walk in the garden with us.
Why?
All set?
I just thought you might like to give us a hand. What's the matter, Chrissy?
Nothing. Just wondered what happened to Lizzie and Ross.
They've probably got something better to do.
Why don't you throw the letter over now?
It's a matter of timing.
As far as I know, it's got something to do with her appeal. And it's enough to prove she's guilty.
If Pat O'Connell wanted to smuggle out a letter, why wouldn't she do it through Angela Jeffries?
That's what she wanted us to think. But it was a ploy to keep us out of her way. I searched her just to be on the safe side.
I'm curious to know how you found out all this.
I'm only doing my job.
I'll tell you when.
I don't want to touch it. Why can't she do it? It's her friend.
Maybe because I reckon your aim's better.
What's the matter?
Has anyone thrown anything over the fence?
Not that I know.
Then they must still have it. What's Latham doing out here?
Would you mind telling me what's going on?
Just stay right where you are. All of you. Did you drop something, Latham?
No, I didn't have anything to do with it.
Pick it up. I don't think it's quite what we were looking for, Miss Bennett.
Hurry up, Lizzie. We've only got a couple more minutes.
Can't leave now. I'm just getting warmed up.
I reckon it's about time you and me had a little talk. Just to show you I don't bear grudges. Not even against sewer rats. Now, sit down. Where are Roz and Lizzie? They should be finished by now.
I haven't seen her.
Oh, good. If Lizzie blows this one, I'll... How'd your end go? Is she giving him the letter? Well, why not?
Because I didn't give it to her. Well, I couldn't. She brought along the barrister who's going to look after Davy and me. Anyway, it wouldn't have done any good. Angela went to see Herbie again. He wouldn't even talk to her, Bea. He even said if she kept pestering him, he'd tell the police she was forcing him to lie.
Oh, great.
So you went all through that for nothing?
Oh, I don't know. We caught ourselves a stoolie. Vera's little lagger. Now, maybe if we'd been able to get that letter out in time...
Stop it, Bea. You're not going to hurt her.
After what she's done?
Pat, it was the only way I could get to work in the laundry, honest. You got to believe me. I didn't mean to hurt you. I've got to get something for the kid out of this.
I know.
Maybe keeping you in one piece isn't such a bad idea after all. Yeah. Next time you see Vinegar, you're going to tell her we're not on to you.
She won't believe that.
Well, then you better make her. Yeah, I reckon we can use you. What do you say, girls?
You mean sort of like a double agent?
Yeah, why not? Only we feed Vera what we want her to know. But in return, we find out what we want to know.
Yeah, good one.
How about it? After all, Pat can't keep tabs on you forever.
Latham?
Ah, hello, Miss Bennett. Oh, it's nice to see a smiling face. You know, I've always said you had a sense of humour.
Outside. I'll wipe that grin off your face one of these days, Smith. That's twice you've made a fool of me, Latham.
It wasn't my fault, honest. It was a joke. They were having a go at me, see? Look, I did all right the first time, didn't I? It's just going to take time to get them to trust me. It's a wonder they're not onto me already, the way you went barging out there, the Savo.
You've had it, Latham. After this afternoon's little epic, I don't think I'll have any trouble in convincing Mrs. Davidson that you should be moved back to maternity permanently.
Oh, give us a break, Miss Bennett, please. That letter thing, it was just a set-up to get you out of the way. They're on to something bigger.
Such as?
I don't know yet. I know it's got something to do with Lizzie and Ros, though.
Coulson. And if I know Birdsworth, this better not be another one of your little tricks.
Honest.
You shouldn't have taken so much, Lizzie.
I've pushed everything around so there'll be no gaps. They'll never miss it.
Anybody sees us dragging this thing around, they're going to know what's going on and they're
I'll just say that we pinched too much starch. Oh, I was just saying to Roz, it'd be nice to have a good strong arm around to help us push this back in the laundry.
I don't think the governor's going to be quite so quick to trust you now, Coulson.
She never did nothing. I made her help. I said I'd break every bone in her body if she didn't help.
Shut up, Lizzie.
That's no way to speak to a lady.
Don't.
Let me go! Let go of me!
Come on.
Mr. Fletcher!
He hit me, Mrs. Davidson. He hit me.
Yeah, that's right. I saw him, Mrs. Davidson. He was like a wild thing, a real brute.
I'd have laid a finger on her.
I think we can believe our own eyes, Mr. Fletcher.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. but that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down, but the sun and rain are prisoners too. When morning comes around, last night I dreamed we were together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone.